5 things that make you successful video. But honestly, what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to tell you 5 things I think have helped me be very successful that I don't see anybody else doing. So I'm not going to sit here in this video and tell you like eat vegetables and read books and meditate. That's not what we're going to do here. I'm going to tell you 5 things that if you apply these, I can almost guarantee you're going to get way more out of yourself. And if you are trying to be successful, it'll make you a lot more successful. And if you don't do these things, your head's like really fucked up. So listen. So these are going to be a bit random, and what I'm going to show you right here is just like stuff that I don't see people doing, and I know it's had such a huge impact on me being smarter and more successful. Being more smarter. Let's do some grammar. And if you don't care about those things and you like doing things ineffectively and you would like to just go watch more videos on people telling you to meditate and eat fruit, of course, by all means, go watch the Taylor Swift video. But if you do care about being more effective, give me 5 minutes to break this down, because I'd like to explain it properly instead of doing clickbait dancing and stuff to keep you on here for the watch time. So let's roll. So I want to show you one thing, first off, that has made me really successful that nobody really does, and it drives me kind of up a wall. If we go to Google or YouTube and type in how to start a business, you see, you've probably seen all these people before. We're going to find Gary Vee, we're going to find Dan Lok, we're going to find all these people that are really good at attracting a lot of people to hear them talk about business. Now, I'm not poo-pooing on any of these people. These are all great people. I actually have a lot of respect for Dan Lok. He's a real hustler. That being said, one thing that I see so many people doing in entrepreneurship is they think popularity means good information, when it's really not. And one thing that I do that has been so helpful for me is going out there and finding out who's the CEOs of companies that I really respect. So, for example, I can go in here and type in CEO of Shopify. And what I'm going to see, I know what I'm going to see. I'm going to see Tobias Lutke. All right? I'm probably mispronounced his name. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go type in Tobias Lutke interviews. And I do this with every company, Dropbox, any company. I found so many like off-the-wall CEOs you would never hear of that are just absolute geniuses. And so what I really suggest you do first and foremost, if you want to be effective with your learning and whatnot, so many people are going to be like, read books. Well, you know, there's only so many books out there. And a lot of them are way too long-winded. And it's very time-consuming to do that. And then what you're going to see a lot of other people doing is like, who do you follow? What entrepreneurs do you follow? And then you go and find a video, and no disrespect to Dan Lok at all, massive respect. He's absolutely killing it on YouTube right now. But if you go find his videos, you're going to see like videos from him that have like 1 million views, 2 million views, absolutely crushing it. And then you're going to go find a video about Tobias Lutke, who's just sitting there for 2 hours. The guy's worth $2.8 billion and has 121 views. So what I'm trying to explain to you right now is I'm not discrediting anybody out there, but popularity is a very poor sign of what's correct. It's a very poor sign. And these interviews right here, for example, the Tim Ferriss interview right here with Tobias, 3,500 views. Like nobody watched it. Nobody watches it. But this is the most insightful thing I've ever dug into. If you go and type in Drew Houston interview, 5,000 views. This is such a good interview. Go type in Ray Dalio interview. Okay? Just insane. If you go type in Peter Thiel interview, all right, you really dig for these, you're going to find so many videos where, like this one right here, is insane. It's 74,000 views, is a little bit more. And Peter Thiel's not the best example because he's kind of famous. But what I suggest you do, this is kind of number 2. So the first lesson was, don't look at popularity. Don't go and find what everybody else is reading and looking at. What you want to do is look at companies that are really well. For one last example, like Des Traynor. Nobody knows who this guy is. Nobody. I guarantee you don't know who Des Traynor is. He is the, I believe, COO at Intercom. So I don't even know who he is. You can see right here. You have him literally just on some of these things giving away everything they did at Intercom to grow it into, I think he's personally worth $270 million. So he kind of knows what he's talking about. And how I found this guy was by going CEOs of Intercom and then actually dug into Intercom and then find the COO. This is so incredibly useful information. Like this stuff right here is bar none way better than any book, way better than any guru or anything has ever talked about. This is where I get my information from. This is easy. And so what I'll do is I'll just type in like Y Combinator interviews, Tim Ferriss interviews, or I'll type in I'll find CEOs of companies that I really respect, and then I'll just dig into them. And so this is the next step. What I like to call this is CEO digesting. So when I see a lot of people get in the business, they ask me, how do I find mentors? How do I look for mentors? Fuck mentors. All right? I'm not saying fuck mentors and like, hey, don't, you're better than everybody else. What I'm saying is the chances of you getting in a room with a person that's worth $100 million to $1 billion and being able to spend 8 hours with them is very unlikely. Or them mentoring you, very unlikely. And even if you do find a mentor, I need to let you know how mentors work. It's not like an Obi-Wan Kenobi kind of thing where they follow you around and help you with everything. A mentor is a person you kind of check in with, like maybe like 10 minutes a month, and you're kind of like, hey, so my foot is stuck in the mud. And they're like, well, you should probably stop stepping in mud. That's the extent of mentorship in a lot of instances. And you'll become friends with people that you think are your mentors and whatnot. I'm not saying like you can't have good mentorship relationships. I'm just saying, here's my point. If you sat down and talked with me for 5 hours, you're pretty much going to know all the important things that I think are important to know. You just are. Like if I just sat down and talked for 5 hours, which I kind of do on this channel, you're going to have a pretty good summary of what you'd hear from me if we sat down and went and got lunch, or I talked to you for a couple months. You're going to have a pretty good summary of the things that are important, especially when you find people who aren't gurus. Let me explain that. So if you're talking to gurus or you're watching videos, how they make money is convincing you that they have a really good secret and then getting you to pay them for that secret. So naturally, they're not going to tell you everything they know. On the flip side, if you find a CEO or a person or COO like Des right here, who is worth $270 million, like he's not holding out some secret so you buy his course. Like in fact, he wants you to like really like his information so that you go buy the software if you watch this. Okay? If you go find like Tobias Lutke, he's not like holding back some deep secret. He's just like, here's all the things that I think are really important, and this is why I want to tell them with you. Because most of these people are growth addicts and they want to share everything. So what I do is I go find these CEOs and then I digest everything about them. So for example, yesterday I watched about 5 hours of Peter Thiel. I can give you a pretty good, strong, and not his political stuff, like his just CEO and SaaS stuff. I can give you a pretty good guess if I asked him any question about my business, what he would say. Now, you might be a little bit different, but I would say I'd be right about 90% of the time. I'm not saying is that as good? Is that as good as having Peter Thiel in your ear? No, but it's a pretty good alternative because I can't pick up the phone and talk to Peter Thiel. So what you want to do is find these CEOs and then just do everything. Like I've seen every single speech by Des, brilliant stuff. Okay, any interview on Tobias Lutke, I've seen all these. I've listened to every single minute of all these ones right here, and I'll just sit down and listen and digest. Drew Houston, Stuart Butterfield of Slack, the CEO of Zoom, for example, really good. Eric Yuan, I will sometimes mess up these people's names. I just sit down and watch everything they do because all these people are billionaires, and if I want to learn how to become a billionaire, probably not going to learn it from a video about how to build a business with 6 million views. It's probably not where it's going to be. Okay, so you got to understand that. Now, the next thing I'm going to tell you is you want to go as an entrepreneur when you're learning and look at the past. Okay, so if you look at, for example, the Industrial Revolution, or you look at like the crash in the 1930s, you're going to see so many similarities to today. Okay, so if you look at the crash in the 1930s and then you look at the crash in 2008, there's so many similarities. And if you look at what went on with Rockefeller, for example, there's a lot of similarities between him and Jeff Bezos. So what I'm trying to say right here is if you go back in time and look at things, what you need to look at in history is realize that human nature really doesn't change at all. We're the same exact creature we were 2,000 years ago. We're still with the same exact brain. So how I like to explain this is, let's say we have, if you look at your dog, the dog, for example, if you look at a dog right now versus 200 years ago, it's living in your house, it hangs on the bed, it will behave differently. The behavior will change, but the nature doesn't change. The dog is still going to act very similar than it did 200 years ago by its nature. It's still going to make the same decisions. It's just a different environment which is making decisions in. So if you go and look at, first off, just human history in general, you can really start predicting how people are going to act and react to certain things. Okay, a lot of things that happen in election, a lot of things that are happening in business right now, they've all happened before. They've all happened before, over and over and over again in different environments. Okay, so of course there wasn't the internet back in ancient Greece, but if you look at when ancient Greece collapsed, it's a lot similar to what's going on in America right now. Very similar. But what I want to talk about in entrepreneurship is if you can go into the past and research old entrepreneurs, a lot of what they have to say is extremely relevant right now. It's super duper relevant. And if you look at, for example, how Rockefeller optimized all the oil lines and brought all the refineries under one umbrella, it's not too different than what Jeff Bezos is doing right now. And so you can take a lot of lessons from that. They're extremely impactful. So you can't really find too much stuff on these. Like if you go and type in Rockefeller, it's kind of like a mystery on YouTube. Okay? There's not too much on. There's just like a bunch of summaries. But that's when you want to go and start reading autobiographies of old entrepreneurs. So go read Henry Ford. Rockefeller has a really good biography on him. Go read like Benjamin Franklin's autobiography. Go read all those things because these people know a lot of shit. Like they just spent their entire life learning a lot of shit. And you think, well, no, they lived in like the 1800s, so they don't. What do they know? Everything. Because all these people had to do, instead of going through Facebook and doing all the dumb shit we did today, they just sat around and like read. And they'd sit around just figuring out how people work and how the world works. And most of the principles they came up with are spot on. Like way better than what we're coming up with today. So that's my third piece of advice for you if you want to be super effective. Now, the next thing I would suggest you do if you want to be really effective, nobody talks about, people talk about this to a similar extent, is your number one goal with your health. There's so many things you can do. You can take nootropics. You can take people are like, dude, what about smart drugs? With your health, what you want to focus on most of all is you need to understand, in order for you to have willpower, that's the thing that allows you to do things that you don't necessarily want to do. And I talked about controlling your dopamine and stuff in the last video. But willpower is such an important thing because you're not really going to work on your business or do anything great unless you have a lot of willpower. And willpower is controlled by how well your body is effectively working, how well you're sleeping, how well blood's being pumped around, how well your brain is working, all that stuff. If you're feeling foggy, if you're not feeling well rested, you're not going to have a lot of willpower and you're not going to do well in your business. It's just the most simple base need that you have. So when it comes to this, if I could give you one tip to be way more effective, is focus on inflammation above all else. If you can reduce inflammation in your body, you are going to be 10 times smarter and 10 times more focused. So how do you reduce inflammation? I'm not going to give you every medical whatchamadig. But what I do in my diet is I avoid salt a whole lot. And I only put things in my body that I know are going to be very easily digested and aren't going to give me any inflammation. So my diet, for example, is turkey meat, hemp protein, ghee butter, olive oil, and I eat bags and bags of spinach and carrots. Okay, and I also do green juice. And that's it. That's all I'll put in my body. And that gives me everything I need. Of course, I'll take vitamins and whatnot. But if you look at those things, all those get digested very easily, besides the turkey. It's digested like that. And so when you keep your digestion clean, that's another tip I'd give you. Just keep your digestion system as empty as possible. Okay, just pure to stomach to energy. You can actually do really well with that just by eating fats. It's not a very satisfying diet. But if you do that, your body is going to have very low inflammation. You're going to see a lot of puffiness just go away from your body. You're going to see, if you all walk around, look at like a lot of, especially like gurus, for example, all their faces are really puffy because they drink and eat bad shit. This is the same thing with so many other entrepreneurs out there, though. I just kind of like to pick on gurus like myself because we don't know fucking anything about anything. Don't ever listen to any of us. So what you should do, you're going to notice that your body is going to get very lean. And you're going to lose a lot of weight, and a lot of the fat that people carry around is just pure inflammation, and you're going to start thinking really clearly. And if you want to be effective, you have to think really clearly. So just do that. You could copy my diet, or what I would do is you just want to find anything, just eat vegetables and meat. Vegetables and meat and fats. And that's kind of a keto diet, but you can also stick to like good carbohydrates like blueberries or... I mean, I don't even like anything that's around oats or wheat. But if you could chase anything, just chase ultra low inflammation. It's going to make you so much smarter, so much more effective. That's it. And then the final tip I can give you that's going to make you so much more effective and more successful is be okay sacrificing and missing out on things and pissing people off. Okay? So many people, especially entrepreneur channels out there, like, live the dream life, live the lifestyle. I don't know anybody who in their first 5 years of entrepreneurship lived like a great lifestyle and built a great business that's going to last for a long time. I don't know any of them, including me. I was like, build a business, lifestyle, go to Vegas. It doesn't fucking work, okay? Because if you're doing other shit and you're like focused on dumb shit, your business isn't going to be very good. You got to have all focus on here, and you have to be ready to sacrifice. You just have to be, okay? Or your business isn't going to be very good for a long time, and it's just going to be unsatisfying and unfulfilling. So what do I mean by this? So a lot of you guys are like, I'm going to keep my friends, I'm going to keep my family, I'm going to keep my habits. I want to just talk about other people in general. You have to be completely okay letting other people down and telling people no. I'm going off on like a tangent right here. But what I mean by this, like, a lot of you guys are like, well, what if my kids are depressed? Or like, what if my wife is mad at me? Or like, what if my family members are like pissed off? Or what if my friends are like sad? That doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. What you need to understand about entrepreneurship is while everybody's trying to distract you from all these things, great. You can spend all your time with these people. You can spend all your time doing these things. You can spend all your time living life. But if you want to set yourself up for life, you need to be ready for like 1 to 5 years just to give up everything and just shut the door and work. And if people, don't understand that and they don't like it, fuck them. Why? Because you're building the most important thing in your entire life. You're building something that's going to fund you for the rest of your life. You're building something that's going to give you fulfillment and is going to make you happy. And you're building something that is going to financially pay for all their shit. So what you need to understand is that you have to be very, very okay with letting people down and just telling people, no, I see the vacations, I see the nights out, I see the fun we could have, I see the time we can spend together, but frankly, I spend way too much fucking time with you already. I'm going to close the door, and for the next 2 years, you're just not really going to see me, and that's it. And is this the most happiest thing? No, but if you want to win, if you look at Kobe Bryant when he was killing it, not the most social person. Look at Michael Jordan, spends all of his time on the court. If you look at anybody who's really good at anything, they just kind of shut the door. Okay, they're not the best family people. They're not the most well-rounded people. They're not going out there and living the best life. They're not out there on Instagram. They just shut the damn door, and they're okay disappointing everybody. Okay, and so people are going to cry. People are going to be sad. People are going to tell you you're not living life the right way. That's fucking fine. That's fine, because their way of living life is getting the exact results they're at right now. And so just be okay putting away some things that are important to you for a while. Just be okay with it. You can be sad about it. And I'll give you one little bonus tip. If you're having a hard time with entrepreneurship, you're having a hard time missing out, you are having a hard time being afraid, you need to realize that it's completely okay to feel that way, and you don't need to react to it. You can just sit there and be like, I feel fear right now. And don't fight it. Just be like, I'm afraid. I'm terrified all the time. If you feel lonely, and you feel lonely, just be like, hey, I'm lonely, but I'm working on this. That's part of it. If you are feeling like you're letting people down and it makes you sad or you're missing out on things, be like, I feel this way. And don't do anything about it. Just feel it and be like, you don't have to fight. You don't have to convince yourself. You don't have to be like, write some poem and stuff. Because, frankly, if you go act on these things, it's going to take away from the thing you're doing. There's give and takes, and you're going to feel ways. So, like, it's just like if you want to eat a cake. The best way not to eat a cake is to feel that you want to be a cake, you want to eat a cake, and be okay with it, and then just don't eat the cake. If you try and fight it, you're going to eat the cake. It's just like it's an oxymoron with our brains. It's the same thing with everything else out there. If you try and fight loneliness, you try and fight fear, you try and fight all these things, what's going to happen is all your willpower gets wasted fighting these things, and then once your willpower bar gets down and collapses, your animal brain is going to take over, and you're going to do all those things. Okay, you see how that works? It's kind of ironic. So those are 5 things plus one bonus. I think if you do, your life will be a fucking killer, or at least you'll feel like a killer. I don't know, but you should do them. It's helped me out a lot.